Welcome back, guys, to another great day of SSL Premier. It's me, Valdez, with Wolf. As always, or as almost always, everything's really green here, as is the way of the Generic Esports, and I'm really excited to just get into another great day of StarCraft 2 tonight. Wolf.
That's right, man. It's been a week since we were here last. It feels like much longer for me. I've been all around the city, just ended up casting with Tasteless last night, the launch of StarCraft Remaster here in Korea. It'll be out in about 2 weeks' time globally for you guys at home. So if you're itching to play, that's going to be out soon. But we're going back to a game with a production tab, a units tab, and multiple building selection tonight. So going to be a good one. A lot of these players, of course, coming from Brood War. But that's going to be the end of the Brood War talk tonight. We're going into StarCraft 2. We're reaching the halfway point here for Premier in this round robin stage as we go into week 5 of 9. So if you take a look at where we've come so far after this evening, we're really going to have kind of a solidified position for most of the favorites and the players that aren't necessarily going to advance to the next stage.
Yeah, it's very close up at the top. We got 4 players that are sitting at 3-1 currently. We have a couple of surprises down at the bottom as well. I mean, Biel, he did so well in Season 1 of Premier, and now he's at the bottom, 0-4. He's having trouble against basically every race, against every player that he's playing against, and just cannot find luck. Another guy who's having trouble is Alive, and surprisingly, Hero down at 1-3. So Hero having a really nice run over at IM Shanghai, was able to make it into the finals, did go down to the sexy boy Rogue, who took him out 4-1, a very surprising run for Rogue. And pretty cool to see because he's been itching for a win for a while.
He certainly has. On the Rogue's victory here, I think we kind of have to reset expectations as to who's the top Zerg. A lot of questions. People were saying Dark, people were saying Biel before. Rogue now rising up very quickly. And Solar, of course, falling in the Season 1 finals. So really very much up in the air right now who's the best Zerg in Korea, and of course by proxy then the world. So we're going to be looking into the rest of this season as we see the Zergs here, Solar and Biel specifically the ones to focus on. Dark having a bit of a rougher time, but recovering as well to see who is going to be the top Zerg moving into playoffs. But yeah, exciting to see a player like Rogue find direct success. It's not a shock that he would win a weekend tournament over a longer extended period. I don't believe he's ever even made a round of 4 in his career in Korea. So just waiting to make that extra step because he looks good in a prepared group stage for the round of 32. Struggles on the round of 16, round of 8 situation. And, of course, in a weekend tournament, he's just kind of grinding through the tournament. So I think that's where he's at his strongest.
Yeah, so, guys, we're going to go ahead and introduce the players. Let's jump to that right now. We are back. INnoVation versus Maru is going to be your first matchup of the night. Definitely very hype as these guys did face off in the group stage of IM Shanghai. The Group D, INnoVation was able to take it 2-1, but it was very close. Maru, he was ahead in a lot of those games. He had some very different builds to bring into every different game for those very different maps that we did see in that stage. So expecting this one to be a bit closer than you would expect, perhaps, especially because INnoVation himself is also 2-2 here in Season 2.
That's right. So a bit of a shocker for most people. INnoVation losing that first series to Dark, who actually now passes him, is up tied with Classic for second place, but losing to Deer last week, which would have been a shocker if you didn't look at how he played the series, but Deer definitely played the better games there and will pass INnoVation as well. So INnoVation finds himself down at 5th, his worst record ever this year for SSL. He's never been this low. He's never been this even in scores at the 2-2. So for INnoVation, tonight is the time to take the 2-0 win to try to approach his highest possible seed. Remember, last season, he was seed 1 in Pennant Race. He did get the direct seed to the finals, and when we talk about Maru, it's been a disappointing 2017, you have to say. Making it deep in GSL Season 1, but not going all the way. Not making it to the finals, defeated by Kumiho in Season 2. And in the pennant race here for Season 2 of Star League Premier, he's just struggling again, unfortunately. Down, of course, at 2-2 himself, but with a weak map score. He's in 7th place out of 10. INnoVation 5-2 in Legacy of the Void, and also Remember, we've seen a lot of cheese out of Maru when these two face each other. The famous Newkirk Precinct Reaper versus Reaper proxy with the floating CCs. We're starting off with it for game number 1, so who knows? We could see it again.
Both of these guys wanting to play on that map, funnily enough, and the first choice actually for Maru was Abyssal Reef. That was the map that he won against INnoVation over at Shanghai, so it does make sense. Did go for a bit of Reaper cheese himself that INnoVation wasn't expecting, followed up by that economic greed, and perhaps he's feeling a bit nice on that map, wants to get ahead against a very strong player in INnoVation. You guys can see his ratings down there in the bottom right. Totally crushed Hero and Alive, made it quick, and we were saying, hey, this guy is God. He destroyed Premier Season 1, and now here he is again, already 2-0, or rather 4-0, I guess, for his 2 first series. And then he got taken down by Dark, and then he got taken down by Deer. So
both series, too, very much outplayed. Wasn't tricked or duped. There wasn't a cheese strat. It wasn't an off day for INnoVation, but Deer specifically, I feel like, was the more impressive of the two. Dark played the long macro game, found the run buys, but Deer with some innovation. We'll talk a little bit more about that later, no pun intended, but Maru, for him, he's had the rough start. He got taken out by Deer, is showing a really good PBT right now. Classic, took him out 2-0. It was a rough start. He bounced back with Biel, sure. That was really the one that you look at and say, okay, at the time it looked strong. Biel's ZBT was looking good. Not as relevant anymore, but his victory against Hero there is the most impressive of all. And remember, it was done through some innovation in terms of Cloak Banshees versus the Phoenix play. He figured out exactly what Hero was doing with Phoenix Adept and countered it. So maybe, now that he's even played against INnoVation in Shanghai, he's found some weaknesses, some holes in the armor here of INnoVation.
Yeah, he definitely does have a chance to come in here. You get a couple of wins like that up against INnoVation. You build some of your confidence. Even though in the chat that we do have on my screen, he was like, it's going to be hard to win. I think he definitely has a chance. Let's see how it will go down in game number 1, INnoVation versus Maru on Newkirk Precinct. Fly better fly, Jin Air.
Oh, look at this SCV going out already.
It begins. Here we go, guys. Down on the bottom left, of course, this is INnoVation, one of the 2 Terrans you will be seeing in this TVT tonight. And his opponent down the bottom right is the blue Terran. It is Maru, and he is getting cheesed. Little does he know.
He doesn't know yet. Will be the 2 racks proxy of Reapers. Hyper aggressive, going across now to the 3rd base location with 2 SCVs. The depot will finish. He'll start that first barracks. The second will be perfectly timed. And so last time we saw them face off on this map last season, so we had the famed base trade with the Reaper versus Reaper. Now we're seeing Maru do his very common gas first, something we saw in IEM, and something that most Terrans are doing in this matchup, regardless of the fact that this build is still popular. And because of the hyper-aggressive proxy and the lack of information here for Maru, he will find himself at least at a build order deficit for the moment being. But if he survives, he basically wins the game right afterwards.
Such a fascinating kind of thing these 2 players have going on. I don't want to call it a rivalry, but it started off with that game, and now it's come into many series. Maru did it to INnoVation at Shanghai. INnoVation's doing it here, but it gets scouted as Maru comes up with his first scouting SCV right into that perfect place up on the high ground. Now he knows what's going on.
He knows what's up, and this is also somewhat predictable by INnoVation, especially knowing the history between these 2 players on this map. But at the same time, Maru had to send the scout up because he had a hyper-aggressive gas first into a second gas. He's going to build up an insane amount of gas. Once he get that factory up ASAP, all he has to do is defend. And the first key here is going to be to save his first Reaper, use some SCVs, and then get the second Reaper out. If it's 2 Reapers versus 1, he gets the first kill. Then suddenly it becomes 4 Reapers versus 1 with the second set. You're basically out of luck. So needs to buy some time to get that Hellion out, or perhaps even the Cyclone. He's got a lot of minerals he's going to be able to use in just a minute to make that.
Yeah, I like the Cyclone idea. Definitely very good against lower numbers of Reapers. If you're facing off against 12, you're going to have a rough time, but you should have more than 1 Cyclone at that point. We are going to see the factory finish up. Let's see what will be the choice. The first Cyclone does come out. He's actually making a Marine as the follow-up, too. Wants to just have this wall of tanking SCVs to deal with this. This is that really crucial time we were talking about. Jumping down the ramp, not sure about that one. But he is going to defend with these first SCVs.
This Reaper hasn't regen. Yeah, this Reaper did not regen yet. Needs to pull it back. It's very vulnerable here. Using the weakened SCVs from the charges earlier, but now these Reapers are caught and trapped. SCVs trying to corner them here. Such great micro from INnoVation. That one survives with so few health. Pulls it back, but now the Cyclone's out. Maybe he's overstayed his welcome. Will he be able to get out? Gets out with all 4.
I mean, that's about as good as you're going to do against a Terran that scouts you out this early, right? He gets 4 kills. He keeps everything alive. Obviously, he's not going to kill Maru with this because he did get scouted, but pretty good start for INnoVation considering his position in this game.
Yeah, killed a few SCVs, finds himself at a slight deficit, not only in SCV count, but also in tech with the starport coming up just now, but he did get it very quickly afterwards. It's going to send this barracks across the map to verify what Maru has in the main base. Wants to know what exactly his tech is, what his follow-up is. Is he going to go for a counterattack? Is he going to try to take a CC? That's what this barracks is essentially designed to see now in the main base. We'll see the naked starport.
Yeah, you can come over here, see what comes out. Should have a decent idea of what this is. I suppose there is 3 choices, but he'll get to know eventually as this Reaper is making his way, keeping his Reapers up towards the top side.
It looks to try to go for perhaps a backstab attack when he sees the move out here of Maru. The barracks is coming across to try to get out here. Sees the Liberator is already on the way. INnoVation has a Viking prepared for this. He's going to have a Cyclone. This, pretty aggressive here, but saves all the Reapers, so can't really be harsh on him because he trades hit points on units that don't regen versus the regenning power of the Reapers. And the Viking already here, the Cyclone already here, 2 of them.
Maru just going in and suiciding a Liberator to get 1 SCV. He knew he was scouted, and let's think about the idea of that, right? You're going in, you're trying to get damage done, right? But you get scouted so early on. INnoVation is going to know this. So the only way you get away with a play like that is if INnoVation is basically not making a starport, not making a Viking, not preparing for this. But you're going up against INnoVation. You have to think that he will be prepared for this, and he had exactly what he needed. And Maru at that point, he couldn't run away, so he just had to go for the play.
Yeah, you can't run away from a Viking in that situation. So, and even the Cyclones too, when he was that deep in, there was no way out. What we're seeing from INnoVation is actually reminiscent of what Maru did in 2014, by the way, in this matchup, is to always try to find value with early game units, get trades, get positive trades. Usually it was with Hellions in that meta, but in this case isn't going to find too much, but knows the relevancy of these Reapers was fading quickly. Does end up getting the 2 SCVs. Perhaps if it was a weaker reaction from Maru, would have actually been able to get more, but it's funny to see Maru almost in a way channeling his inner, or sorry, INnoVation channeling his inner Maru, because we'd see that in TVTs so much in the past from Maru himself. But again, just a few SCVs killed, and the transition here for INnoVation is going to be to take the 3rd base. He has a nice defensive setup. He's got a few Cyclones stim very quickly on the way, and will have the high ground advantage here against this push out from Maru. He made his CC on the high ground as well, so yeah, I don't think Maru's going to find much with this.
He should be okay on the defense, right? He's going to have 2 tanks by the time this hits, compared to Maru's 1 that's making his way across the map. But I don't know if there's an answer to the Banshee across the map. There's no missile turret. There's nothing to defend over there. We need to get a look at that natural right now. Here we go. Banshee coming on into a totally undefended natural. Already 3 SCVs being taken out. Now Maru in a weird situation. Either he goes for the attack and tries to trade some kills, or he goes back home. Here comes the attack.
Mode. 2 siege tanks here. I don't think this attack is ever going to work. SCVs here just going to be the short buffer here. Move command, mistake control here by Maru. Not enough anti here without the auto turret. He can actually just kite this Banshee back. Looks like it was too low on health to escape, but regardless, massive damage done. 3 CCs complete for INnoVation. Sure, it's not on the low ground, but it will be very shortly. He's going to have the full stem advantage here, as you can see. 4 seconds till that's completed as Maru starts his own. Maru with the weaker siege tank count. And from here on out, INnoVation is going to take small advantages to get further ahead.
Yeah.
And you have to feel for Maru, though. He just didn't have the answer to the Banshee, didn't expect it. And had he realized that attack wasn't going to work, he could have just backed away. But backing away doesn't work when you're losing all your SCVs at home.
Yeah, it's a rough position for him, right? Because INnoVation has total knowledge of what Maru is doing, basically. He got a very nice scout of the main. He saw the Liberator coming. He's like, okay, I know where your tech's out. I know the possibilities. Whereas Maru, he went in with this Liberator and it died. And he never went for a scan, I don't think. I never saw him really get into the main and see what the follow-up was. He wasn't expecting the Banshee, as you were saying, and he was forced into a really desperate attack that did just not work at all. So INnoVation right now, he knows he's very far ahead. He's going to take it slow. He's not going to run across the map and try to kill Maru right now. He's going to wait. He's going to max out. Well, not max out, but get a big army, get his upgrades going, wait for combat shields perhaps, and then hit a kind of timing with the upgrades and try to shut down the third as he takes his own.
Yeah, and the thing is, this is a timing even before the upgrades finish. Going into what you were saying is just shutting down this third base because he knows that he has the stim advantage as well, and there's just not a whole lot of bio on the map. In fact, there's 3 Marines for Maru because he spent all the resources he had for that push. And INnoVation, what he looks to do here, actually, instead of assaulting the third base because the siege up is already there, is to take control of the main ramp between the third base, to draw a wedge between the bases to cut off reinforcements. Maru has done a good job of buying time here, but he needs to make sure this ramp does not get taken away from him. And in fact, that's exactly what he's going to do. Gets the staggered siege here and should be able to siege up the back tanks now, move him closer to the ramp, and make sure that's not taken away from him. Stim is also in his power now, and he has air control, so INnoVation can't work his way towards Maru, and in fact, we'll probably have to retreat north here, around this awkward building structure. So Maru could be very happy with how that situation occurred. Sure, it didn't catch him up in terms of the lead that INnoVation has, but he survives, he stabilizes.
Yeah, he sticks around in this game, but INnoVation very smartly there, as you were talking about, backing off when he wasn't 100% sure about the attack, and the main reason is the air control, right? You're not just going to bully your opponent in. That's one way to throw the game right back into Maru's hands. So he wants to take it slow, wants to go for some drops, perhaps, some double-pronged harass, if you will. But Maru has total air control. He's got the sensor tower down. He's hanging on. It looks like there are some Vikings around the backside waiting for a drop towards that natural. So he is reading this quite well. Let's see if he can shut this down.
Yeah. What I'd love to see from Maru if he deals with this initial attack is to do a 1 or 2 medevac drop in the main base. He's got the air control. Already good evacuation here on the SCVs, but it's INnoVation who gets the drop off first here in the natural. The Marines actually split here out of these drop ships, so the siege tank not going to be able to get the massive AoE damage done. A lot of Vikings here though, so this is going to be a very short-lived drop. There's not going to be an escape. INnoVation doesn't find anything, but this natural is still exposed. The main base, sure, he cleans it up because of the Vikings there, but didn't have the units here to defend the natural, because if he does send all of his units to defend those Marines in the natural, he only sent a few here, but it took a long time, then he loses his third base because INnoVation's in position to punish it, to shut it down. So having a catch-22 position here is Maru, but the defense has been good so far, all things considered.
Maru trying to claw his way back into the game. He knows he has massive air control, and now the first Liberator comes out. So INnoVation can't stay for now. He needs to get a stronger army. He's going to regroup and perhaps go for a follow-up attack. You guys see that he has taken that fourth base up towards the top side of the map, so we'll try to use that. The rocks do come down, that rock tower.
Yeah, and I mean, INnoVation was looking to perhaps just attack in their stim from the other side, but the sensor tower makes that more difficult to do. As you said, the rock tower is down, so won't be able to find the angle he was looking for. Looks like he just wants to continue to use drops, which is risky against the air control Maru has, the Viking count that he has, but he just has this large army that threatens, so even if he gets any unloaded drop ships, sure, the Vikings will kill the drop ships, but they can't really fight the Marines, they can't protect. If he brings all of his army to defend, again, INnoVation finds an angle. The center tower means that he has to now split his decision-making up between, okay, I know this army can threaten me, I need to be focused on it, but also know and be wary of the drops. So the focus sphere is split between Maru on the center tower at his third base and the main base here. Scan comes down, he sees it, but it's again just a little bit too late. The drop unloads, and these Vikings can't fight the Marines.
This time there's not that much energy on these Ravens. They don't have the 6 auto turrets they had for the last drop. So coming in here, decimating the economy, and it looks like he actually tries to take a trade against some of these Marines. Will be eventually cleaned up after taking out 10 SCVs and a tank. at the end of this all. INnoVation decides not to go for an attack at the same time. Perhaps wants to wait for more upgrades, wants to wait to max out now, as we have come this far in this game.
Yeah, and INnoVation has reactored Viking production now. He killed several of the Vikings of Maru, so he's only a few behind. He will actually pass Maru if the production cycles continue this way. A whole cycle of upgrades ahead in both infantry and the mech upgrades. So we'll see what Maru can do against this army. He actually gets the awkward angle here, but baits INnoVation into the siege tank shots. Again, still has air control for the time being. INnoVation with some indecision here. Better to just cut his losses and escape. Remember, he has the 4th base. He has the advantage in economy, even taking a 5th base now, as Maru is just contained here on 3.
That's really what it's about, right? You look at this and you say, INnoVation, he's so far ahead. Why can't he kill Maru? I think it's just, it's the point of the map, right? You can't really break into that giant tank line. This is one way to do it, though. He is going to go for a big Dune drop into the natural, shut down all of the mining here, kills 10 more SCVs, and it's going to be hard for Maru to really break up his huge tank line that he had going on. He's going to lose an orbital, too. Not going well for him, and another devastating blow here for INnoVation.
Maru will maybe get the better army exchange here. Does force a cancel on that 5th CC, and definitely is going to get the better army exchange with the feeding here of INnoVation. He was looking elsewhere, feeding those Marines. When the army came over to force the cancel, he was looking over there. With the planetary here, should be fine to clean this up. But the crux of this all is he loses a CC. And if he loses another one, I mean, he can barely afford to make another CC. Doesn't have control to even place one, but now he's lost a third of his mining. It was barely even any mining left at that natural. Killed a few SCVs. And when you're economy advantage, when you're in an upgrade advantage like INnoVation, if you trade even, and even if it's a worse army trade for you, it's even because you get the CC, then Maru gets further and further behind. You start to solidify your lead. You start to build a bank even. You start to get closer to max. He's 5 supply off of that currently.
Props to Maru for trying to stick in this one. You know, he's finding little drop opportunities at the bases that he knows he's down against INnoVation, but this is really where it gets hard. He needs to take another base now. He has floated over to the natural from the main. He has retaken that spot, but he can't get 2 bases behind. That's when it just becomes a lead that you can't surpass at this point. So INnoVation smartly setting up a very nice stronghold up here. He's going to stim into the tank line.
Not all the tanks were sieged here. He is a set of upgrades ahead, INnoVation is, but walks into the tanks. But again, these are, sure, slightly worse trades for INnoVation, but they're almost even, and he's more than slightly worse behind. Maru is in the economy war, and denying this base for just a little bit longer is worth it, absolutely. Now wants to try to flank this army of INnoVation, or sorry, excuse me, of Maru, while some of the tanks are unsieged. Here's the scan. Doesn't see the blood in the water here because he couldn't catch the tanks unsieged, quickly enough. So good reaction time by Maru. As soon as the scan came down, he said, well, pretty big chance you're going to stim in. I'm going to siege up first. And Maru is hanging on by a thread, but it's one tough thread. This sensor tower is going to eventually go down, and now finally air control may be taken by INnoVation.
It's very close. Okay, we got 3 more Vikings coming in, and all of those PDDs, they will eventually run out. They're not as crazy OP as they used to be. And even if INnoVation loses this last Liberator, which it looks like he will just barely lose, he still will win the air battle. And that's really when the wall comes crumbling down for Maru, as he has no way to get that vision outside of scans. He only has 2 orbitals left over. I think there's a 3rd one that might be floating. And Maru in a very desperate situation, trying to set up some kind of tank line that he can fight against INnoVation.
He has the better tank line, but INnoVation is just going to be patient because he has the better air. So he has better vision, and every tank siege up for him is going to gain value, whereas for Maru, it's tough for him to do anything but sit and turtle. And he's bleeding out of money. He's trapped here on 3 bases. Scans to see if there's an opportunity to land that CC finally. Nope, not yet. So he's kind of stuck in this rock, between a rock and a hard place, as he's barely able to survive with his 3rd. His natural that he just replaced is almost mined out. His main base is mined out. His main is floating to the 3rd, but he can't even get in position to hold on to it. And when he does commit these resources to remove these siege tanks to take that 3rd base, INnoVation is coming into strike. He's going to go over and hit these tanks while the majority of Maru's army is away. He knew this would happen. He knew that Maru had to commit heavy resources to deal with the siege tanks, and he finds a positional advantage as a result.
He's got his Liberators in the sky, still has that air advantage, but Maru is still hanging on, is going to take that base over there, a very much needed base at this point, because he had to get that orbital landing and get some mules over there, get some extra mining, because, I mean, you guys can see his bank up in the top right. He barely has enough minerals to make Marines at this point, so the lifeline is still there for Maru, and he's actually trying to fight straight up with INnoVation. INnoVation taking this extremely slow, and you can't blame him in this situation. You can see that he's making a bunch of extra CCs just in case. He's going to start floating those to some extra bases.
Yeah, remember, too, this series is so important for INnoVation in terms of saving face because he's the defending champion, right? This is his worst season of SSL in a long time, and so doesn't want to drop extra maps here. Doesn't want to get careless and end up taking a 2-1 series. Even if he takes it, he's not willing to take extra risks here. Wants to basically perfect this game, essentially. So we're moving more medevacs now. He's moving in here. He again has the tank deficit, but it won't necessarily matter because when the Liberators get into range, he has to basically go into the vision range of INnoVation with Marines to stim in and finish them off. So look, he's getting in this range, and the Marines just can't contest this anymore. They have to leave. He has to retreat. He has to back away.
He keeps all the tanks alive, though, surprisingly enough. The Thor is definitely going to help out, and he has taken a position in the middle of the map, which means that he buys himself a lot of time to try to continue to make these Liberator siege over and over. And Maru, he's beginning to close the gap. I'm not saying he's going to come back and win this game, but he's making it closer than INnoVation would like. Too close for comfort, almost. And now with the Thor,
oh, he's going to siege up.
Tanks,
INnoVation needs to back away. He has vision with the scan.
It's, you know, the unit tab tells the story, and I'm glad that we have this up on the screen because it's just that massive air army for INnoVation that gives him the huge lead in the army supply. There's more tanks on the ground and an even number, actually more Marines now for Maru.
Yeah, Maru is just playing this so well. I can't even believe the deficit he had and how well he's able to fight back. INnoVation, though, with a massive bank, he's getting every upgrade in the game. Building armor, high-sec tracking. He's going to have Liberator range, the advanced ballistics upgrade soon. And that's when Maru won't just simply be able to unsiege and run away with a similar sieging time because the Liberators are going to stagger those zones. They're going to go in front and behind. Yeah.
There's 12 Liberators in the sky.
The Thors are not going to save Maru anymore now that it's done.
Advanced ballistics has joined the game. And this is when he's going to go for that big push. Maru, he knows he has to make a stand. He's going to stim underneath those Liberators. Can he take him down in time?
Tanks were not sieged. Liberators were not sieged, but it looks like it may not matter here at the end of the day. Still just not enough units. Liberators eventually get the siege off, and Marines get blown up there. Now, having to unsiege again takes a few pot shots from the Liberators. Going to lose that tank to the north. And Maru is out of time here and shortly to be out of money. GG. INnoVation. This game comes down to the one Banshee because the power play, and of course that's the turning point, I should say, is the Banshee, because what we saw from Maru there is he almost turned the game around despite being at such a large deficit. The Banshee meant that the push that Maru sent across the map that was designed to do a little bit of damage, to a little bit of poking, ended up being forced to all in, basically, because he saw how many SCVs he was losing. He knew his army was so far away. The only way to recover from taking that many SCV losses was to do the same thing to INnoVation. With a small advantage, he had an army there, and so he committed there, but INnoVation was prepared, had the 2 siege tanks, and from then on, INnoVation just out-expanded. He had more units, he had stim faster, so what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, in a move that's almost Maru-esque, you know, with the Banshee coming in and stealing away all those SCV kills, comes in and gets him a huge lead in that game, and I feel like that's one of the really cool things about Newkirk Precinct and one of the main reasons why we play on a bunch of different maps, because that's one of the maps where you force your opponent into a big attack like that, and they have to desperately run into your tank line where there's one tank near the CC and one on top of the high ground. How are you ever going to beat that with just one tank of your own? It's just the most desperate attack ever that you know is not going to work, and Maru knew it too. That's why you call it a desperate attack. So that's game number 1 going to INnoVation. We are going to be going to Abyssal Reef. This was the map that Maru did take against INnoVation over at Shanghai. I think this is going to be his best chance. We'll see if he wants to cheese this time, though. Lots of mind games going into this one, especially with INnoVation cheesing in game number 1 of this series.
Right, and, you know, he did prioritize this one the highest. So, as you said, with him taking this one, it's no shocker. But I feel like the game we saw there wasn't really a true testament of macro skill, of mid-game decision-making. If it was, I feel like you have to make a testament for Maru's decision-making, not INnoVation's. He almost clawed his way back into that game.
Yeah, for sure. So let's see if Maru can claw his way back into the series, jumping into game number 2. Here we go, Abyssal Reef to start off game number 2. Up in the top left, the red Terran, it is INnoVation, currently 1-0 in the series.
And down here at the bottom right, with the proxy SCVs, is his opponent, Maru, from the team Jin Air Green Wings. So
this is that really deep level of mind tricks. It's like,
yeah.
I just did this to him at Shanghai, this exact build. He wouldn't expect it a second time. Now would he? And it looks like INnoVation, not scouting right now, not going for an early scout, not a very normal thing, is not going to know about this for now. We'll see if he sends out a later one, perhaps to the exact same location. He hasn't been totally duped yet, but it's very interesting to see Maru do the same build on the same map twice against the same opponent.
Yeah, it's the same build INnoVation did in SSL on Newkirk when they faced each other last time. And Maru went exactly the same location. And sure, last time it did it,
in the series too.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny because Maru in the last season when they proxied, where he proxied against him, right? It was the famous base trade game. That was one of the fan favorites for the round robin last season, but INnoVation is not necessarily going to scout. He's not as methodical about things like this as Maru did, right? INnoVation, I think, sometimes gets a little bit deep in his own head about you know, decisions like this and kind of mind game-esque plays, whereas Maru was like, well, maybe he's trying to mind game me. We're both going to Newkirk. I know you prioritized it highly. You might proxy me. I might as well check. That's a more Maru-esque move than INnoVation, who would rather save his SCV, go blind, because as we always say about INnoVation, he's robotic, but he's also like the speed runner, right? If he can keep that SCV at home for just maybe 10, 12 more trips, that's more money, that's 60 more minerals, that gets him his build going a little bit faster, hits his timing a little bit faster. But as a result, Maru keeps the SCV here. He hides it. He knows INnoVation hasn't scouted, so he's going to go for the surprise Reaper pool.
Well, here we go. The first Reaper comes out. This is the big moment. He sees the SCV, and immediately he should know. Here come the first 2 SCVs of Maru. And again, the build doesn't change for INnoVation. He goes gas first, and he goes Cyclone anyway. He didn't have to scout with the SCV. But again, this is the very critical time. Trying to come in here and snipe that Reaper. Is not able to get it just yet.
A little bit of extra buffer here for this SCV. Actually gets hit by the charge there. We'll get knocked into the SCVs, but more damage done here. The Reaper goes down. It's 3v1 now. This is so bad for INnoVation.
Snipes the other one, too. He got both the Reapers. That's huge.
Yeah, this could actually be just game over here. The Cyclone is about to pop out, but so many SCVs lost. You can actually micro around the Cyclone as the 4th Reaper comes up here. Good surround, actually, by INnoVation, though. Looks like he will lose only the 1 Reaper here. 5 SCVs go down in total, plus the 2 Reapers killed. And now there's no way for INnoVation to scout across the map. He doesn't have any way to figure out what the follow-up is from Maru. So that's always really frustrating and definitely scary now to be living in the unknown in this second game.
Trying to pull INnoVation apart now. And he will find this Reaper over here once again, but I think he lost one of his own,
yeah,
too.
1 for 1.
Good trade there by INnoVation, and now he's got a second Cyclone out. Will be safe from here on out. And again, the response from Maru in Shanghai was go for kind of a double expand, right? Go for the natural, put down your CC, make a 3rd one at the 3rd base. You're going to be very safe on this map. He's trying to kill a Cyclone right now with the grenades.
That was such a good grenade. Very well played. We'll get the win there on the Cyclone. He shut down the Reaper Scout. You know, it's a good trade, as you said, for INnoVation, for Reaper, but with the vision denied right now, INnoVation doesn't know what the follow-up is, so it could be that double expand. It could be a very greedy economic build, but in this case, for Maru, it's actually going to be the faster starport. He sees the tech lab here because he has vision control, so he should just make a Viking at home to stop the Banshee or potentially the Raven that comes out here, and now he's just killing so many SCVs.
He's built up that critical mass. not a crazy amount, but just enough to be so annoying and keep INnoVation so far back in his base. And finally, we do see that CC on the way from Maru. Was a little bit delayed as he did go for the star part. But here we go,
the snipe
Cyclone!
attempt. He gets it, and he sees the Banshee. Now can prepare at home. Gets, the Cyclone out, the first one. The second one's on the way. Not preparing a Viking just yet. Perhaps just wants to save for the Raven in case it's a commitment to Cloak that he didn't notice earlier. But the Reaper attack is now finally over, but it leaves permanent scars in terms of the SCV count. 28 to 23 currently, and he has full vision, he has full scouting, and for all INnoVation knows, and he moves across the map with this Banshee, there could be 2 Vikings there. He doesn't know. He doesn't know if there's a CC or if there's an all-in follow-up attack coming across the map. So the vision advantage here for Maru is real, and now he's just going to push across with these Cyclones.
Yeah, I love this play. Even baits out the auto turret before actually committing to the fight, poking away at the depots, has the follow-up of his own Raven to deal with the Banshee back at home. It's actually been delayed. It wasn't going on a straight path to Maru's base. Here we go, going for that fight. It looks like he's just got enough. Even if that Cyclone goes down, the Reapers are all still alive. Yep.
The high ground vision granted by the barracks, they're allowing so much extra damage to be done. GG, we are going to a third game here, and feels like some sort of TVT rivalry exists between these two, right? When you look back at Season 1, the close series we saw there, the crazy base trade on Newkirk, going back to IEM Shanghai in the group stage, the 3-game series we saw there, the mind games that develop over now this third best of 3, as we see both players doing the same builds they chose on the same maps, different adaptations to get there. And I feel like the crux of all of this is the lack of scouting by INnoVation and the control of the Reaper play there by Maru. Getting the snipe on the first Reaper was the first step, but he didn't stop there. He was knocking Cyclones into his Reapers, he was getting these pickoffs, he was getting the better trades, he denied vision, which was a big scary thing for INnoVation. Didn't end up mattering because he just straight up killed him, but that was another thing INnoVation had to have in the back of his mind while he's trying to micro and multitask while knowing he's down in SCVs.
Yeah, and I didn't want to say it at the beginning of the series because, it had only been a couple of series, but now I definitely agree with you. This rivalry is brewing, and it's really funny to see. I would expect both of these guys in the next season of SSL whenever that does happen, so we'll eventually just continue to see them fighting in best of 3 series over and over and over again. And as you said before, we're almost halfway through kind of the group stage, the pennant race of SSL Season 2. So this is a huge matchup for both of these guys. They're both sitting at 2-2. Indicator score is +2, a little bit better for INnoVation, but they don't want to go down to 2-3. They want to be at 3-2. They want to be in a good spot to try to get into playoffs. And really, it's either of these guys' game at this point.
In INnoVation, there's still a chance if he wins this match, and especially if he had taken it 2-0, that he could have gone to the first place. But if he loses it, no chance. So definitely wants to get that first place spot. He wants to at least get as close as he can to the top of playoffs. That's his goal. Let's head into Frost, guys, though, to find out who's going to win this version of the TVT rivalry we feel is brewing between INnoVation and Maru.
Jumping into Frost for game number 3. So if they wanted to go for proxies on this map, I'd be one of the many people that would be surprised. Down on the bottom right, that's INnoVation in the red.
And his opponent to the top left in blue, it is Maru, the Jin Air Terran. And so we will see as this third game starts to develop, as we see gases planted first here, just exactly how this is going to pan out, because we saw in the first game advantages given by the fact that INnoVation had that early Reaper attack. He had the Banshee follow-up. Maru felt pressure to do something with his army advantage. Then the Banshee came in, ended his life there. Game 2 was basically characterized by the cheese that INnoVation didn't scout, and he saw it coming at the last second but didn't have much time to prepare. Maru's micro was better. But in this game, You know, if we go the distance, let's think back to Game 1 when INnoVation was massively ahead. Maru held on, had the understanding of building the better tank count, using the map terrain against INnoVation's pushes, and even when air control was taken away from him, he still had consistently better vision in a lot of those fights, having less scans to use with a lost CC. So if we go to late game on this one, I have to favor Maru based on what we've seen in this best of 3, taking it just surgically removing it from the histories of these two players, and in 2017, their success rate in the matchup. If you look at this best of 3 and how Maru played today, as we go into late game, you have to feel like this map favors him if we go there.
Yeah, which is a crazy thing to say against the macro god of INnoVation. It's very interesting also to harken back to the best of 3 series they played in Shanghai. I know we're mentioning it a lot, but it's very pertinent information that we can use in this series because they just played it, you know, maybe 4 days ago. So they had a big macro game on Proxima Station, which we don't have in the pool over here, but a very big macro map with a backdoor base and all that good stuff. But Maru was ahead for a lot of that game. There was scary moments where Doom drops came in, INnoVation was almost able to hit the production, but he couldn't quite get there. And Maru slowly, towards the end of that one, he was getting 1 inch at a time, 1 inch at a time, as he always does against Protoss players, but he was doing it against INnoVation on the big stage in an uncomfortable spot. But then he made one wrong mistake. We're seeing a fight here with the 2 Reapers. Maru's going to lose, but again, just one wrong mistake, and he ran his stuff in, and he didn't have his siege tanks lined up, and INnoVation was just the more solid player, and he took the game. So again, you know, Maru has shown that he can stand up to the macro, to the late game of INnoVation, but he has to be solid. He can't be making small mistakes because INnoVation is going to pounce on him.
Yeah, and that was, again, one of the stories of that first game. So let's talk about the build here for just a second, because a lot of really subtle things happen, and Maru, his objective was to delay the CC, and he wants to have a faster stim and a large Marine count. That's why he went 2 racks Reaper. The extra Reapers he made, the first 2 and last 2, because now he's of course building Marines, he's already made the transition, was designed to delay the CC. He successfully did that, has his CC up now, is killing a few SCVs in the main base, and has full vision. Things that INnoVation doesn't know is, what is your follow-up? You know, he's probably figured out at this point it's 2 racks because of the Reapers that were coming across the map, but he doesn't know, where's your CC at? Are you rushing out stim? Are you going to have a drop coming across the map soon? These are things he doesn't know that Maru does know because he went for the 2 racks. So sure, he lost that first initial Reaper, but still, objectives succeeded. Got the CC delayed and got the scout off in the main base. And again, another scout denied by Maru.
And now INnoVation, he has to essentially scout with the drop, which is a useful tool, but you don't want to be relying on that at all times. And judging by the angle that he's taking, he might even try to, you know, come in behind the natural and not even necessarily get a full scout of what's going on. We'll be able to see the army of Maru, but you're going in blind essentially at this point. And let's see what he can get done. There's one lonely Marine walking across the map. That's kind of interesting. But here comes the drop. Yeah,
only 1 unit in this bunker. I assume it's a Marine. But basically, there's not enough range for that bunker to actually save the SCV. It's a quick evacuation for Maru. And looks like he wants to try to target down the Marines, ignoring the Cyclone currently. The medevac is the getaway tool, not targeted at all there, so it gets away for free. And 3 SCVs killed. Got the full idea as to what Maru was doing, saw it's going to be the heavy Marine count. So it gets the vision that he was missing. So this drop was very important for INnoVation. Stim is done, but because the threat of the drop is very real and very aggressive, and also because several Marines were killed, Maru can't be aggressive with a stim drop like he wanted to.
Maru also got supply blocked as well because there was a building supply depot right where the drop was coming in, and he had to cancel it. So he was at 54 or 54 for a good 30 seconds. That's not what you want when you're trying to hit a crisp timing with stim and drops and other upgrades. So INnoVation with this 1 drop, he's taking control of the game. He's made that 3rd CC very far ahead of Maru, who's just trying to hit this 2-base timing. And he still hasn't shut down that drop. That looks like it's going into the main. So the 2 drop ships of Maru move out, and INnoVation moves in.
Yeah, he's going to come in here and find some more SCVs, but More critical than the SCV damage, like you said, is keeping Maru at home. Even an auto turret harass coming down here into the natural. So getting a lot of SCVs. INnoVation takes a 10-worker lead from now on. Scouts with the watchtower. The drop that Maru's finally able to send across the map. This time it's going to be +1 in combat shields. It's really nice timing. But siege tanks set up in the main base. Marines on the ramp, at the top of the ramp, able to bounce between whichever base Maru decides to harass. He is going to get the full unload on here. He has stim. INnoVation does not. If he can target down the first siege tank, maybe he can take the fight. But the scan sees the second tank.
He scans and he's like, there's no way. I just can't go in there. The tank is in too good of a position. So he has to try to find damage elsewhere. But INnoVation, he's prepared. Second tank immediately behind that third orbital. And Maru seeing stuff that he just does not want to see.
No.
Extra tanks, the third orbital, and he's like, holy crap. I got to do some damage. I'm behind.
When you 2-racks like this and you get the stim, the faster +1, the combat shields, you have to do something with it or it doesn't matter. And in the long run, INnoVation will have the stim, and if you have a stim advantage over your opponent but you can't use it, why do you care? When in the long run, when you have 3 CCs, the faster siege tanks, the better siege tank count, better SCVs because your drop harass, which bought you a lot of time to hold that 3 CCs, puts you ahead anyways. INnoVation is a very happy Terran in this situation. Stim advantage now nullified. +1 is not only going to be the only upgrade for INnoVation, it's going to have 1-1 and the combat shields to completely even things out. Maru's window of time to use this advantage is basically closing now.
Well, he's got to go now. He does have the combat shields, and he does have the upgrade advantage for now. It's a very thin window, but he's got to hit it now. The 1-1 is coming up for INnoVation, and he does have that really nice tank spread. Here we go. He's dropping in the main, straight into the tanks.
Splitting his Marines decently well here, but not all of them unload. Couldn't get the kill here onto the siege tank. A sloppy attack from Maru, and the window is not closed, but slammed shut now as INnoVation just deals with this so handily. Has the tank splits here and is looking for the counter drop. The longer Maru stays out here and tries to find damage, the more he puts himself at risk, the higher the liability that the counterattack from INnoVation with the triple drop is going to get damage. And also Maru's third base, he's just now starting it. So he feels desperate to do this. He knows the third base of INnoVation is going to be landed soon. He knows he's been down in mules for a very long time, not to mention the SCV deficit he has. So he feels like, again, similar to Game 1, he has to force this or he's just going to find himself further and further behind.
That's why the timing of INnoVation's drop is just so smart. He knows that he can hold, and the second he knows he can hold, he knows that the greedy follow-up will come from Maru. The desperate follow-up will come out with that CC, and he's going to shut it down. There's nothing here for Maru. The CC is going to have to be canceled.
Yeah, he will have to cancel that. It's so close to completion. So frustrating here. INnoVation is going to take some heavy losses on the Marines, but a small price to pay for the CC cancel. His CC has landed. He's got the defensive setup here with his siege tanks. Again, not stacked on top of each other, but maximizing their range of efficiency, or sorry, effective range. You know, as they stack together, so there's no real hole where Maru could try to use the bio to punch through. And all the advantages Maru had with the upgrades, the stim, they're all gone. He's now behind a base. He has the smaller army, the worst siege tank count. And what INnoVation wants to do now is leave a few tanks at home to defend in case Maru counterattacks. And now he's going to try to hit with this drop while also moving across the map. Here comes the drop into the main base.
Doesn't look like there's much here. There is a tank, but this is severely going to hit that mineral line. Look at all the SCV deaths already. He doesn't care if he loses these Marines. 16 SCVs, and he gets even further ahead. Still no third CC available for Maru. INnoVation pumping with macro back at home in a very, very comfortable spot.
Yeah, not a whole lot of units here to defend for Maru. Gets a few more SCVs. Finally, with the missile turret well placed there, Maru is going to find the counterattack. INnoVation wanted to do a two-pronged attack where he hit with the drops and moved across the map, but realizing Maru didn't have anything at home, he was scared that Maru was going to counterattack while he dropped. The attack didn't hit very swiftly, but now INnoVation has time to set up completely. He sent these units home, and in fact, it looks like he wants to try to intercept these units in the middle of the map, even willing to walk into a line of sight blocker he doesn't control. Ooh. He knows his army is much larger.
Well, the army is close, actually. He does have 3 extra tanks, but the Marine count is even, and Maru is only ahead 2 medevacs. So really the supply differential comes in with those SCVs. The economy of INnoVation is so far ahead, but that does mean that he has to be careful just running into a siege tank line. When the armies are this similar, you are ahead on upgrades, you are going to be good, but you need to make sure you take a solid fight at the same time.
Ooh, scans going down here. The tank advantage, though, is going to be massive for INnoVation. Not quite with all of them in range, though. Very lucky for Maru, because had they been, it would have been horrible. Snipes coming in here, though. He's got the upgrade advantage for just a little bit longer. Gets the tank here. And Maru is now forced onto the high ground. He has the concave here, so it will stave INnoVation away. But there's nothing to stop INnoVation from hitting his base now directly. And with the ragtag group of units Maru has in the middle of the map, he has to send those home to defend. He was going to try to counterattack, but now that the army is much closer to his third base, he has to go home. And INnoVation is kind of running circles around Maru on the map right now.
That stim in right when Maru unsieged, that just oozes confidence, and a very cool moment for all those INnoVation fans out there. The crowd was going wild. We got a split coming in here. Maru trying to take this fight as INnoVation goes for a drop. Maru with his own nice play, but here comes the drop.
Yeah, he wants to get the economic play here. He's not going to go for the units. Going to try and sim and target down these medevacs here. This is a risky choice by Maru. Does get the majority of the unload off, but this is going to be a very inefficient fight from Maru. Only 3 SCVs go down, but he lost a large chunk of his army. And INnoVation is just going to fly away with the medevacs here, and he's going to continue to throw punches. And Maru is in the defensive stance, but he might just die to chip damage if we're going to take the take the fighting game reference all the way, because INnoVation is just going to hit him harder and harder every time, despite the fact that Maru has these decent defenses. It's not enough. He's never able to counterattack. That means INnoVation could take another CC, which he is right now. He still has the upgrade lead. Now going to be a full set with 3-3. Starts the +2 vehicle. He's just taking these small advantages and pushing them into larger ones.
Yep, he's looking for that knockout punch, and it looks like he's going to keep a defensive stance back at home and stim in towards that third base. Goodbye, Orbital. All those SCVs, they're not going to give their life up, or will they? Actually, as they come back to repair. Perhaps in vain at this point. Maru, though, this is one chance. He's trying to come in here and stim in, take out some of these tanks. Doesn't look like it's going too well for him, though, as he can't really get a good position on INnoVation. And now he's got Liberators. What are you going to do about that, Maru?
He has the Marine count to try to target these down, but this gives INnoVation an opportunity to come in with a concave. 3-3 isn't done, but it doesn't look like it's needed here. He's going to clean this one up. There's more medevacs than there are Marines for Maru now. Nothing to defend the attack. That's going to hit the natural now. Tanks unsieged. SCVs are the real defenders here, which is always a bad sign. Third CC goes down, and it looks like INnoVation will yet again take this best of 3. Maru fought well. He fought hard. He had good builds here, but INnoVation had the answer every time, and you have to wonder, is this the map to 2 racks on with the Reapers at cross spawns?
That's going to do it. INnoVation showing that he is the better player twice in a row in a very small period of time. And I'm sure that's what was on people's minds, but Maru did make it very interesting, right? He made it interesting over at Shanghai. Came in here at a very nice defensive game when way far behind on Newkirk Precinct. And even on this map, you know, it's just that you can't make that kind of defense that he did on Newkirk as you can on Frost. There's too many locations that INnoVation can attack from. There's too many drop paths. There's just way too wide of an expanse between your bases, too, for Maru to go for that timing with the stim. So he just really had no chance at that point. And I think we're going to get an interview now with INnoVation, who is 3-2 after the win against Maru.
The other thing, too, is when you have this many distances between the bases, the 2 racks opening can't get you as much value. It gives INnoVation more time to set up those siege tanks. He had the drop so well timed. He had combat shields finishing the +1. He had the stim much faster. But INnoVation got the second tank out just in time. If we're at a different map, for example, like Overgrowth, then you hit that timing, you kill the first tank before the second tank spawns. So unfortunate for Maru that not only did he do it on that map, but also got the cross spawn. So hurt his opening in general. But we are going to have that interview with INnoVation himself as he took that third game.
Congrats. We heard that you just got back from Shanghai, and he says, yes, I did. Hopping off a plane, no doubt it was a Janair airplane. So it wasn't too bad. The time zone is very similar coming over from China, so I was very prepared, wasn't very tired for these games. Said that he was able to get the victory by countering with that Banshee timing, game number 1. INnoVation says, even though my 2 barracks start was scouted, I still did pretty well. And I feel that Maru was a little bit hasty and impatient with his attack. A little bit more on the 2 barracks Reaper start. He says a lot of players like to follow up the 2 barracks Reaper with a Banshee of their own. And he followed up with the Viking after his own Banshee, and it worked out really well to stop the Liberator of Maru. So INnoVation going for one of his own 2 barracks Reaper starts against Maru. Says it's such a strong build to start off with in this TVT matchup. He says apart from the cheese aspect of it, it's still a very strong build and a very common one that I use in this matchup. Moving forward, what does INnoVation think of his matches in the future? He expects to see more Reaper openings in TVT, but he feels like there will be a lot of changes in the TVP matchup in the future. SSL coming towards the last half of the season.
Just like your D-Laugh
The laugh
coffee.
track of the SSL. Yeah, I got my D-Laugh coffee up here. INnoVation says that he doesn't have the same momentum he had in Season 1, but he wants to get at least 4th place here in Season 2 so that he can make it into playoffs and go on to potentially win that. So that's going to be the end of the interview. Guys, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, Deer versus Biel for that PVC.